Good night.
The nature of love that refuses to end. There are some loves that do not fade. They do not soften with time. They do not become memory in the way we expect memory to behave. Instead, they remain active. They wait. This is not the kind of love built on daily presence or shared routines. It is not sustained by proximity or reassurance. It is something quieter and far more unsettling. A love that refuses to end does not ask permission to stay. It does not follow the rules of time, and it does not require constant awareness to remain alive. It exists beneath conscious thought. Psychology has a word for this: implicit memory. It is the kind of memory that lives in the body rather than the mind, the kind that surfaces as feeling before explanation, a familiarity without origin, a recognition without proof. Spiritually, this idea has been described as soul memory, not memory as recollection, but memory as imprint. The suggestion that love, when deep enough, leaves a mark that survives forgetting. That attachment does not disappear when the story ends, but settles somewhere deeper, waiting for the right conditions to surface again. Mina and Dracula are bound by this kind of memory. Their connection is not built through discovery. It is not forged through choice or circumstance. It is remembered. From the moment they exist within the same emotional space, there is a sense of inevitability that cannot be explained through logic alone. They do not fall in love in the traditional sense. They recognize something. This is why their story feels different from conventional romance. It does not move forward. It moves inward. The bond between them does not develop. It awakens. What draws them together is not desire first, but familiarity, a quiet awareness that something known has returned, that something lost has found a way back into reach. This kind of love does not feel new. It feels old, ancient, persistent. It carries the weight of unfinished emotion, the sense that something was interrupted rather than resolved, that love did not end, but was paused. Mina and Dracula do not meet as strangers. They meet as echoes. And the story that unfolds is not about romance in the traditional sense. It is about recognition, about the moment when something buried finally remembers itself. Mina as the emotional anchor of the story. Mina is often misunderstood. She is too easily framed as a figure acted upon rather than a presence that acts, reduced to a symbol of purity or devotion or love itself. But Mina is not passive. She is receptive. And there is a profound difference. Her strength is not rooted in control. It lives in openness, in empathy, in the ability to remain emotionally available without being consumed by fear. Mina does not impose herself on the world around her. She listens to it. She feels it. She absorbs what others cannot bear to sit with. This is why she becomes the emotional anchor of the story. Her presence does not create change in Dracula. It reveals it. What awakens in him is not something new. It is something buried, something that has been dormant beneath centuries of grief and repetition. Mina does not heal by fixing. She heals by recognizing. Her empathy creates a space where memory can surface without violence, where emotion can return without spectacle. This is not a romantic gesture. It is an emotional one. Mina represents continuity, the unbroken thread of compassion that survives across time, even when everything else fractures. She does not demand explanations from Dracula. She does not try to reshape him. She meets him where he is emotionally, not where she wishes he would be. That quiet acceptance is not weakness. It is moral strength. Mina functions as the human conscience of the story, not because she is flawless, but because she remains connected to feeling, to care, to the emotional reality of others. Where Dracula is defined by loss, Mina is defined by presence. She holds space rather than filling it. She witnesses rather than commands. And in doing so, she becomes the grounding force that allows memory to return without destroying what remains. This is why Mina cannot be reduced to a love interest. She is the emotional center, the stabilizing force, the reminder of what it means to stay human in the face of overwhelming loss. And it is precisely this quality that makes her recognizable to Dracula on a level that transcends time. Not because she is new, but because she has always been there. Dracula as a being defined by loss. Dracula is often misunderstood as a figure of power. He is framed as dominant, dangerous, eternal, a being who takes rather than one who carries. But beneath the myth, beneath the ritual and the fear, Dracula is shaped by something far quieter: loss. Not the sharp loss of a single moment, but the long erosion that comes from never being allowed to finish grieving. Eternal life, in this context, is not a gift. It is a sentence. When love remains unfinished, time does not heal. It compounds. Grief becomes ambient. Dracula does not move through centuries gaining strength. He moves through them, losing resolution. Every passing era becomes another layer of distance between him and the moment when his life still made sense. This is why his attachment is so often misread as obsession. Obsession implies desire without restraint. It suggests hunger, fixation, and control. What defines Dracula is something different: unresolved mourning. When love is interrupted rather than concluded, the emotional system never receives closure. The psyche continues searching, not because it is greedy, but because it believes something essential is missing. Dracula is not chasing pleasure. He is circling absence. Memory becomes his companion, not as nostalgia, but as haunting. The past does not feel distant. It feels unfinished, alive in the present. Psychologically, this kind of memory does not fade. It loops, it replays, it resurfaces at moments of vulnerability. This is why Dracula feels suspended rather than progressing. He exists in a state of emotional arrest. His identity is frozen around a single loss that time cannot dissolve. Power becomes irrelevant in this condition. What matters is attachment. The longing that defines him is emotional before it is romantic. It is the ache of something that never completed its arc. The sense that love was interrupted mid-sentence. Dracula is not terrifying because he lives forever. He is terrifying because he remembers. And because memory, when it cannot resolve, becomes a form of captivity. Soul memory and eternal attachment. There are forms of attachment that do not obey chronology. Psychology tells us that emotional memory can outlast conscious recall, that the body remembers what the mind forgets. That feeling often arrives before explanation. Spiritually, this is described as soul memory, not as a mystical concept, but as an acknowledgement that love leaves residue, that emotional bonds can persist beyond context, identity, even lifetime. This is the space where Mina and Dracula exist together. They are not pulled toward each other by destiny or prophecy. There is no grand declaration of fate. What draws them together is quieter, recognition, a sense of familiarity without narrative, a pull that does not announce itself as romance, but as something already known. They feel drawn together without fully understanding why. There is no clear memory to point to, no story that explains the depth of the connection, only the feeling that something has returned. This is what makes their bond feel grounded rather than mythical. It does not rely on spectacle. It relies on emotional truth. Soul memory is not about remembering details. It is about remembering how something felt. Safety, belonging, being seen. These sensations do not require explanation to be powerful. They simply surface when the conditions are right. In this way, Mina and Dracula are not discovering each other. They are encountering something that never fully left. This reframes eternal attachment as psychological rather than supernatural. Love persists, not because it is magical, but because it was never resolved, because it was interrupted before it could conclude. The connection does not demand belief. It invites recognition. And that recognition feels less like fate and more like truth resurfacing after a long silence. Why? This love is both healing and damaging. There is comfort in recognition. When something lost returns, even partially, it brings relief. The nervous system relaxes, the heart settles. For a moment, the endless searching stops. This is the healing side of Mina and Dracula's bond. Their connection offers continuity. It reassures something deep within both of them, that what mattered was real, that love was not imagined, that it left a mark strong enough to survive separation, time, even death. For Dracula, this recognition interrupts centuries of emotional isolation. It reminds him that his grief had a source, that his pain came from attachment, not emptiness. In that sense, love restores meaning to his suffering. For Mina, the connection awakens a sense of depth that feels older than her current life. It brings with it an emotional gravity that feels grounded rather than overwhelming. She senses that something significant is present, even if she cannot name it. This is the healing. But healing is rarely clean. When unresolved love returns, it does not arrive alone. It brings the wound with it. Every moment of comfort is paired with the reopening of what was never finished. This is the damaging side of eternal attachment. Reconnection offers warmth, but it also reactivates loss. It reminds both of them that what they share exists alongside an impossibility. That time cannot simply be reversed. That some separations cannot be undone without cost. Love becomes both anchor and trap. It grounds them, but it also binds them to a loop they cannot fully escape. The past is no longer distant enough to soften, yet not close enough to resolve. Psychologically, this creates tension between longing and acceptance, between the desire to hold on and the need to let go. Mina and Dracula embody this tension. Their bond offers solace, but it also prevents full release. It keeps grief alive even as it soothes it. It confirms the depth of love while making its conclusion impossible. This is not romanticized suffering. It is emotional truth. Some bonds heal us by reminding us who we were. Others wound us by refusing to let us become something new. Mina and Dracula's love does both at the same time, and that duality is what makes it feel real. What their story says about human attachment. Stories of eternal attachment endure because they mirror something deeply human. Most people carry at least one unfinished bond, a love that ended without resolution, a connection that never fully closed, a relationship that lingers not in daily thought, but in quiet moments of recognition. We are haunted less by what ended badly and more by what ended incompletely. Mina and Dracula reflect this universal experience. They embody the fear that some attachments never truly release us, that love, once deep enough, does not dissolve. It waits. Their story resonates because it acknowledges a difficult truth. That memory is not always something we control. That love does not always obey time. That letting go is not always possible, even when it is necessary. This is why audiences respond so strongly to their bond. It is not because it is dramatic or supernatural. It is because it feels emotionally familiar. We recognize the quiet pull of something unfinished, the strange comfort of recognition, the ache of knowing that some connections shape us permanently. Mina and Dracula do not represent ideal love. They represent enduring love, the kind that survives loss, the kind that resists erasure, the kind that remains present even when it cannot be fulfilled. Their story suggests that some bonds do not end. They simply wait. If you appreciate these kinds of psychological movie reflections, these quiet explorations of love, memory, and strange flick facts that live beneath the surface of films, take a moment to like and subscribe to Strange Flick Facts. It helps support the channel and allows this kind of work to continue. Some stories stay with us not because they are loud, but because they touch something we already carry. And this is one of them.